I'm Joanna Fantozzi, Senior Editor with Nation's Restaurant News. I'm here with Jess Elmquist, Chief People Officer of Dutch Bros.
Hey,
welcome.
How are you?
Thanks for being here.
Happy to be here.
We have never spoken before, but I feel like I speak about, or I talk to Christine Barone about your focus all the time, because it's all about the people at Dutch Bros, right? It's all about the broistas. And so I guess, like, what has been your people focus lately?
I being the Chief People Officer at Dutch Bros is one of the greatest honors you could ever have, because it is all about the people. We talk a lot about the fact that our entire growth strategy is predicated on people, and it can feel sometimes like it's just a line, but the reality of it is there's so much depth underneath that we're actually really serious about it. So my priorities really are kind of from the beginning to the end of our people journey. So when we find a candidate, out in the market for one role only, and that's the broista role. So we hire broistas, and then we actually promote from within. So the training, the leadership development, the career pathing, all of that, we want them to choose their own adventure, and we want them to start as a broista and then go anywhere in the company. And so our commitment is that if we're going to grow, it's going to be people who are incredibly seasoned and passionate about our culture every single day. So that's where the focus starts, is with our people on the front end of training, hiring great broistas, and then moving on from there.
Yeah, I don't think I realized that. I didn't realize that you don't actually hire, let's say, like managers and everything like that. And so what are some, I guess, the challenges of taking that path? I feel like a lot of people do not.
Yeah, I think, especially when you're expanding into new markets, like we were moving into 5 new states in 2025. We have we're in Ohio, we're in Indiana, Illinois, Louisiana, and so it goes on. And I think some of the threat always is that how do you actually transfer the culture? And then how do you find people to go? And what we're finding is that when we actually are talking about a compelling future for our young broistas moving into management, they're saying, oh, wait a second here. I'm signing up to be a part of the Dutch Bros culture and the family, and I'm ready to actually help move. So we always commit to actually moving into a new market with a shop manager that's already been a shop manager somewhere else. We have operators. They're the ones who actually run a whole area. They actually have an average of 7 years of experience before we ever take them to a new market. So I think some organizations maybe hesitate. They either don't have the people that are willing to move, but more than that, for us, it's just that continual commitment, and I call it a psychological contract. If as a company, we're going to commit to you and we want to promise you a compelling future, what we find is then people say, yes, I'm willing to actually commit back, because I know that when you say that, you actually follow through and do that. And that's something that's rooted in Dutch Bros from, for 3 decades. Like, it's not something I think you do overnight. Hey, we're just going to do this. You've got to figure out how to actually mechanize that, organize that, hire for it, and then actually be able to afford and scale that. And Dutch Bros is committed to doing that for a long, long time, which makes it a really, actually quite beautiful thing for people to kind of integrate together and say, yeah, together we're going to grow this company. It's pretty magical, actually.
Yeah, for sure. So 5 new states this year. I know you guys are kind of like inching eastward across the United States. I will wait one day, maybe you'll be in New Jersey, but I know that's far down the line. And so I guess, like, what are some of the things that you guys have learned as you're opening in new states all the time?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we learn is that, in many of our states that we've been for a long time, a lot of times our broistas and managers started as customers. So they already know what to expect with the culture, and they already know, like, what it means to be a broista before they ever even start. When we go into new markets, we're actually hiring young frontline workers that don't have that lived experience with our brand. So one of the learnings that we had is that we've got to be really thoughtful and make sure that we have enough time to hire the people and then actually really educate them on what Dutch Bros is, then get them into the culture. All of a sudden they go, oh, wait a second here. This isn't just another job. This is actually an opportunity for me to think about my future. But that takes a little bit more time and a little bit more focus. And I think we've been doing that now for a few years. We started in Texas a few years back, going into a new market. I think we started to really figure that out. But that's definitely one of those things that you got to be aware of when you're walking into a new market, is make sure that you're actually being true to who you are. and your say-do has to be pretty significant, right? We're saying that we're going to do this, and now you're seeing us follow through. And then you start training the customer as they're coming through our lines, and then the whole entire flywheel begins again, and people go, oh yeah, Dutch Bros is really special, which is really fun to watch.
Yeah, I know that you guys have been working on lately kind of cutting down on that drive-through time and trying to make sure that, that I guess it's, down, shave off a few minutes here and there.
Sure.
How do you come into play in terms of, helping to train those broistas to kind of work with new strategies for cutting down on
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, we have a special kind of mix between speed, quality, and service. It's one of our commitments, really the strategic anchors of who we are. And I think there's a fine line between our customer coming through wanting that interaction and that engagement from our broista. People actually come for a great quality drink, especially in our new markets. Oh, I heard their drinks are awesome. They come back for the people. And so we are always trying to kind of really make sure that we're not sacrificing one thing for the other, but certainly we're always looking at making sure that our manifesto training, that's what we call our broista training, that we're actually always tightening that up and making sure our broistas have everything they need to be able to be successful and fast, along with really thinking about how we're actually building our shops and making sure that the movements inside are really great for our broistas so they can actually be super fast, but also have a great time as a broista crew, and also go to the window and have an amazing experience with the customer every single day.
So my only experience at Dutch Bros, because I feel like it's not by, you guys aren't by me quite yet, but
I hear you asking
yes,
for it.
Seriously, was at actually the ICR conference earlier this year.
Again, Joanna really wants a Dutch Bros.
I was at the ICR conference and earlier this year, and and so you guys had the truck outside, I was just like almost taken aback. Sounds like a negative thing, but I was just surprised, I guess, at just the level of enthusiasm. And I was like, well, maybe they're turning it up a little bit because it's a conference, But no, everyone says, no, that's just how they are. And I'm like, what is the secret to that? Because you have really happy workers.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of, again, it's that psychological contract and that commitment. If the culture is what it is, then people that come in, they actually go, oh, this is who I'm given permission to be. So there is this whole idea, we have 3 core values. One of them is radiate kindness. So the whole idea is that we certainly want people to be happy, but even more than that, we really want our broistas to be joyful, knowing that they're actually giving back and they're making a massive difference. And we often talk about the fact that we're in the relationship business and our product is actually love. So we're doing that through a cup of coffee. And I think I think people that haven't experienced Dutch Bros like you have, they can think it's a platitude. And the reality of it is authentic across 1,083 shops and growing. And what we do is we hire for it. So when we're out hiring a broista, that young person coming in to say, yes, I want to actually work, we're inviting them into something different. We're going to train for it, but we're also looking for it. And so a lot of times our managers, when they do an interview, our operator or someone else will say, did that broista fill the cup? And what that means is, did they actually have the values and really could exude the values that we were looking for? Radiating kindness, getting up early, staying up late, changing the world. Do you have that in you already? So I think we're hiring people that have a real passion to want to make a difference in the world. Then we're training them and putting them in an environment. It's a really great environment, to work at a Dutch Bros inside of our shops. I actually went through our full broista training. So I spent 2 weeks training out in Oceanside at our Dutch Bros there. Love that team. I still feel like I report to the manager there. But to actually go through the experience of living in that shop with the team, it was a pretty remarkable thing, profoundly deep, to your point. So anywhere you go, whether, I just drove across the country with my wife, and we stopped at Dutch Bros in Idaho, and we stopped in Utah, and we stopped in Colorado, and we stopped in Arizona. And some people kind of know who I am, but a lot of people don't, right? We're a big company. And every single time we're having this amazing experience where we leave smiling, and I work there. So it's a pretty neat experience.
Yeah. It seems like it has to be like a personality fit first. It's like you're kind of, I guess when you're hiring, you're probably looking for people that kind of fit that Dutch Bros personality.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, we know who we want to hire and we know who we don't want to hire. And you have to really be clear on that when you have a point of view like Dutch Bros, where we want to actually make a massive difference and we're a fun-loving, mind-blowing company. You've got to protect that as much as you need to celebrate it. And so what's really fun, though, is inviting people in to be a part of Dutch Bros, and they discover that in themselves as well. So it's a little bit of a training ground, too, for people to learn that hard work feels great. Working with a team together feels amazing. Giving back to the community, our local communities, through our national givebacks or our local givebacks, as well as just giving back through the window, actually makes me feel like I'm making a bigger difference. And that's really what all humans want. We want to know that our story is part of a bigger story, and that bigger story is something that's positive. I think most people are actually asking for that. And so we're giving them an environment to actually have that experience.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a really fun job.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what is on your to-do list this year, or like, let's say next 6 months or next year ahead? What's on your checklist?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. One, we are expanding very fast. We've already talked about that. And I think with any organization like that, you want to make sure that you're building structures, systems, and platforms that can actually scale at that speed, because we never want to sacrifice that great experience, the commitment we've made about the culture. So I'm really focused on how we're hiring broistas across the country and making sure that our candidates that want to be broistas have a really great experience. So a whole hiring process and making sure that that's all really in good shape, that's a big focus for us this next year. Another piece is just continuing to invest in our leaders. And so we have a great program called Lead, and it's actually focused in 3 categories for us. And we want to make sure every leader is, again, just continuing to double down on understanding our culture. The second piece is we want them to be able to actually be more transformational in their leadership skills. So leadership is another area of focus. And then business acumen. It's so amazing to watch these leaders wanting to just know more about how the business works. And so giving them that opportunity to actually learn those things is a big focus for us in the next year as well. And then I think the other thing is just making sure that at our HQ, our HQ is built for one thing only, and that's to support the shops and the broistas between the windows serving the customer. So I think we're constantly focused on making sure that team is completely focused on the mission as well, which has really been fun to do. But those are some big kind of strategic objectives for me and my team in the next year.
Mm-hmm. And that Lead program, is that a training program, or
it is?
How do they go through it?
Yeah, so there's the Lead program for all of our leadership positions, so shop managers and operators, and people that are actually running even larger segments of our business. And so we have a kind of a ramped Lead program that actually builds on itself over time. And so they go through it both virtually. We also have people out in the field that are actually trained to actually teach Lead. And then we actually bring them back to HQ as well, where they actually spend time together as cohorts. Because what I find is when you connect great leaders that want to learn and grow, what I find is that they stay connected. So if you and I were operators and we maybe operate different parts of the country, but we go through a training together and learn something new, I stay connected to you, you stay connected to me. So when I'm in a kind of a business problem, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this, or maybe I'm trying to do something with my shops, I'll call you and say, hey, how are you doing this? And then all of a sudden we're now cross-pollinating best practice and making sure that this company that's growing really fast stays really intimate and connected. So the Lead program is more than just training and learning new things about the business or yourself. It's also a really good opportunity to network the organization.
Yeah, and as much as it always feels like Dutch Bros, it's like people first, which absolutely makes sense and kind of seems like it's a differentiator. I do want to ask, because we're asking all of our interviews the same question, what is your favorite thing to order? What is your Dutch Bros order?
So I was just talking to someone about that this morning. So I'm a I'm definitely a time of day. So my day part is in the morning. I'll either do it iced or hot. And during seasons, like right now, we just actually launched our caramel pumpkin brulee. And I am a sucker for pumpkin in the fall, just like I think everybody else. But our pumpkin brulee is absolutely fantastic. So that's my go-to right now. And I'll actually make that myself because I'm a trained broista. So I'll make it at the office. So that's my morning. But in my 2 o'clock day part, I am a total Rebel guy. So I love our customizable Rebel drinks, and you can customize them a million ways. But right now we have a brand new LTO for fall called the Candy Cherry Rebel, and it might be the best cherry flavor I've ever tasted in my life. And so I'll do that in the afternoon, and sometimes I'll splurge and put a little soft top on top. But I really love the Rebel, and I love that it's customizable. Another one that I love is the marmalade. And the marmalade is actually pomegranate, ruby red grapefruit, and orange. And so you get that real citrus flavor, but you also have that underlying sweet. So I love the marmalade. So that's a little tip and trick for you. So
really good.
Next time you do get to a Dutch Bros, you can order one.
I definitely will. I think that's a great note to end on then. And thank you so much, Jess. It was so great to meet you. I'm glad we finally met. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.